So this being 7 p.m. Thursday, January the 4th, we'll start by taking a roll call of the Shade Tree Commission. Chairman Colton is here, that's me. Member Gordon sent an email saying he would not be in attendance. Member Gordette?
Here.
Member Kearns?
There.
Member Kronheim?
Oh, she said she was coming.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
expected to
she
be
said
here,
she'll be here.
but she's not here yet.
No.
Alternate Lutz?
I guess.
Bacon's not here. Bacon is not here.
Yes, she is, right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're
As a matter of
right.
fact, there's 6 of them.
Are there?
It's been cloned.
Oh, wow. Again?
Okay. So with that being stated, I'll state the usual. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on June 30th, 2023. This meeting will be recorded and available on Ocean Township's YouTube channel. I think I read that.
Is it being recorded?
Yes, sir. I just can't get it over there. I have it here.
Okay, so we have minutes. Now we're missing minutes from 2 meetings. So far. I mean, we could have done, but we're short one, probably due to all the dog licenses, happening in Town Hall as we speak. Anyway,
Not just dog licenses.
there is. So bottom line is that we have the minutes for November the 2nd. Anyone had a chance to review them?
I did.
Okay, so I reviewed them. One thing I noted in the paragraph number 1 under the stewardship grant
You were not at the meeting.
So I abstained.
says Chairman Colton, blah, blah, the steward should say stated that the stewardship grant has been awarded.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And I believe that we're going to get an extra 3 years.
So the 2 becomes 3, Norm?
Right. I believe that's true. I'm talking with them because one of the things wasn't clear in the beginning, and I spoke with Kelly Fox, who was in charge of this project, and I think it's going to turn out to be 3 additionally.
It's really questionable.
So let's see what this.
For a total of 4 years?
I think, but that's what I'm thinking. So I'll just have to reconfirm the details on the way that.
Okay,
process
confirm
down.
it tomorrow with me.
So I'm gonna figure out what's going on with that. Make sure which way it goes. Other than that,
I don't have any correction, but
Yeah.
under number 2,
mhm.
the second 2 paragraphs, I think it's worth a discussion of the budget.
You mean today?
Yeah.
Right, okay. But if it relates to this, maybe, there's a couple of comments worth making on some of these things. We can knock that off rather quickly. So, basically, one of the things I noticed when I did get a copy of our budget this year was that the tree tags, the town contractors, they're supposed to get these tags for their vehicles and so on and so forth, okay? I don't know how well they've been distributed or not, but I did notice that that was an item taken out of it came out of our huge budget, $2,000, whatever it is,
1,500.
1,500. So it's actually only 1,500. So anyway,
I'll move that the minutes be accepted as amended.
That's amended.
right, okay.
Who?
All in favor? Who was there? Just the 2 of us?
I was there.
Okay, 3.
Yeah.
You're accepting the minutes, Jen?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
All right, so minutes are approved.
I have a few questions, but it's okay, it's just clarifications.
Okay, we go with those. So it turns out that those came out of our budget, which I was kind of surprised because in reality, and Bill talks about this also, we have the Shade Tree Commission, and we're responsible for trees on town property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Correct.
And then we have this ordinance that we're promulgating, which is coming sort of out of the Environmental Commission because it relates to trees that are not necessarily not on town property, So it gets confusing in a way because there's still kind of shade trees and so on and so forth, okay? So, and of course, it's the tree services, work on both kinds of trees, okay? Now, I was talking to Gene Armstrong, and I was talking, and he said that he got tags the first year, okay? But since then, it's not, I don't know if there's a real process for these tags anymore. I think he said the tag actually had the year on it, okay?
Should.
Okay, which I think, one thing, if we're gonna get more tags, it's possible that we should keep the tags in our possession, but maybe write the year on it and then buy a stock of tags instead of buying a whole bunch of tags that we're not giving out.
Or buy stickers.
Or something like that, to do something,
Can
okay?
I indulge you for about 90 seconds? Let's scoot to my office and show you what we've got.
Okay, all right, we'll pass that one for the moment then, okay? So then, of course, the Shade Tree Fund, which was really created to plant trees because commercial sites were cutting down trees, and they weren't replanting them for any number of reasons. Sometimes they couldn't. Other times, it turns out on that particular ordinance, it was cheaper not to, right? So that we got that to. But we have been using that Shade Tree Fund for more than that, okay? And especially since the Shade Tree Commission is responsible for towns that the town is responsible for, on town property and so on and so forth. I think that there should be some kind of a budget in Public Works, separate budget for tree maintenance and so on and so forth, unrelated to the Shade Tree Fund itself. And that's something I'm hoping to discuss with the council and the township manager at some point in time.
There you go. As you notice, no year. And the previous years, I believe, were either blue or green. So we're going to do this for a while.
That's good, there's room for a sticker.
Well, we'll write the year on it when it's issued. And I certainly have enough, I would think, for the contractors that we have registered with the town, give them half a dozen without having a problem.
Okay, because
Every truck
originally
should have one.
they were talking about only giving out 2, which
Well,
was just saying, but
Yeah.
they should have one in every vehicle.
they should, but some guys like Stevie Becker's got, God knows how many trucks. But if he knows he's got to have stickers on the trucks that are coming to Ocean, phone call can probably accomplish that, in my opinion. If it doesn't work, well, then we'll find something that works better than, but I think if we start with a half a dozen,
Well, if he comes with 3 or say 5 trucks and 3 of them have stickers, they're all the same guy.
well, yeah, I understand that, but I know Steve probably has at least 25 trucks. Well, I don't want to start peeling 25 out of here for everybody. I think 4 to 6 is probably a reasonable number because most of the time, you figure a crew is going to be a chip truck, a bucket truck, something to handle logs, maybe a crane and pickup truck with a stump grinder. Well, there's right in the middle of 4 to 6.
All right, so all that being said, Don,
Max is 5.
let me ask this. These guys, they're supposed to come back and re-register every year?
They are required to update their license with the township of Ocean. And if I see a new tree company on a permit, I immediately go to the Board of Tree Experts site and I make sure they're registered and licensed with the state as either an LTCO or an LTCE, and they're not on the bad boy list, either suspended, not registered, there's another one under review. And if those are the cases that say they're suspended, then they can't work in a town.
Okay, so I'm gonna interject there. Also, they have to be registered with the town every year for a new business license in order to conduct business in
Correct.
town. Whether it be a landscaping business or a tree service, any kind of business that does even temporary business in town is required to apply and receive a business license as well to work in town.
So.
Is that 1 January renewal?
Yes,
How long do they have to get that done? The end of the month?
January 31st, I believe.
Okay.
And if it's a new business coming in town saying.
See, now, one of the things that we haven't been doing, and our tree ordinance, we have the tree ordinance that says what they're allowed to do and not do, okay?
Honestly.
And they should be, for the people who are getting a license as a tree service operator, there should be a place for them to sign saying that they have read the ordinance. You know, when you're coming to get the thing that or wherever they can get the application, it should have a link to the ordinance, whatever's the existing ordinance at least, right? And we wanted to say that they have read the ordinance and that they agreed to abide by the ordinance. Because then, when they get caught doing something, their ignorance will not be bliss, or shouldn't be bliss.
I can tell you that other municipalities I have worked for have done exactly that.
Sounds like a good idea. It was the same thing when I worked for the steel mill, one of my jobs. Every contractor that walked in had a film that they had to watch. They had to sign off on the fact that they saw it,
Safety.
and everybody got a different color or a new sticker to put on their hard hat.
Yeah, so
You do.
but that's
you do
something,
your safeties.
we need to keep going. And of course, then the township manager, Patty's come up with a form or something, when we want to plant something, we identify what it is, where it is, et cetera, et cetera. We send it to Dave, and then Dave will then go through Public Works or whoever, depending on what's going on, if we're going out for bids, maybe, Ricky Gartz or whatever, and so on and so forth. And go from there.
But the ordinance says, quote, "At the time of registration, applicants shall certify that they have received a copy of and will comply with the township's tree ordinances."
Okay. But I'm not sure I've seen any, I'm pretty sure that has not been happening.
It's up to the procedures established by the department.
Right, just saying. Okay. So that's what it covers. So let's go.
I think you're emphasizing it for being upgraded, so I think that's worth doing.
Okay, so one of the things that right now we're short, we don't have an alternate. Okay? I've been approached by someone and I talked to Dave Brown about it, and he told me that he thought there were some other people who were potential candidates that had been brought up as a possible thing, and he was hoping to have it done by this meeting, so I'm hoping to get that over with before our next meeting.
I thought there were some people who were at our last meeting or the meeting before who seemed interested.
Right. Desiree Hayter, I believe, who may be watching right now, for all I know. She was interested, and that was who I approached Dave about, and he said, well, there's some other people,
Okay.
so,
Can we set a date on when it has to be done, instead of?
well,
it just
I don't know if
makes
we
it-
can, but of course, Dave has to do it. And Dave told, but I did remind him recently, and so I suspect that it'll be done relatively soon.
Without a date, it's endless.
Well, I already told them the last meeting, not this meeting, was when I was trying to get it done right, so we're behind. But he should be able to, do it. He's been out a couple of days, and I'm hoping to have that over with by then. Okay, so then we have, let's talk about tree removal
You think
applications.
he's gonna be contacted about that? And send
Excuse
you-
me?
is Dave
I'll
gonna-
speak to Dave.
To get it done. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I've spoken to Dave.
All right.
He texted him, an email, and I got a response, so I think we'll be good. Okay, so in the meantime, the next thing on the agenda is tree removal applications and permits and violations is the whole thing, okay? Now, for what it's worth, since one of the things we've been trying to do though is keep account we should have a monthly report of tree clearing on how many applications came in, how many were approved, how many were rejected, and how many trees were coming down, and so on and so forth. Whether they've been replaced, et cetera.
I think that that's doable. I would prefer if I spoke to Kim Dalton first and got her input on it, because she's the one who is doing 99% of the entering and updating of the permits as they come in, and as if miracles don't cease, if they call and tell us that it is done. We're working on something to help us with that. It's not ready to be discussed yet because we haven't refined it enough yet, but we are trying. It's something that will be attached to the tree permit, basically the short course, reminding the property owner it must be displayed prominently window until all the work is completed. And once the work is completed, they are to call the municipal complex and let them know that the work has been completed. So we can then go into our accounting program, Jungle Lasers, and note it as that. Because, I mean, I can go back 2019, 18, 21, and I bet you 90% of them, we don't have that. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. We can fix it going forward, and we're trying to.
Right,
They're responsible for posting.
It is delineated in the ordinance, and what I did is I took the sections of the ordinance that were pertinent. We're going to put it on another piece of paper that will be a different color, hopefully, than the tree permit. Staple it to the tree permit, and when you get your tree permit, here it is. You know, I don't know what else we can do, but it's like 4 things, and you'll be able to read it from across the room. It's going to be large print.
All right, that's good. So what we're saying is, though, at some point, though, it'd be nice to see a report, keep track.
Well, as I said, I will be more than happy to speak to Kim and ask her how easy that is, or speak to Steve Arion, or the folks at Jungle Lasers, maybe they can generate it for us and just send it to me, and I can send it to you.
I don't know.
Well, neither do I, but I want to find out.
Right. Plus, if you're going to be in attendance at our meetings, you can even go over the information.
Yeah, well, that would.
Okay, so let's go to
That
the
would tend to
trees.
close the circle for
Now,
our control.
did anyone get a chance to look at the email I sent out with the pictures of the 2 properties in
I saw the
question?
pictures.
Okay, so I went and looked at them, you know. We'll take the Harnell one first, okay? There's a giant tree there, it's been deep enough the sidewalk. You can see where if you saw where the base of that tree is above the sidewalk, whatever it's the one above, it's a massive tree, okay?
Yeah, I'm not really quite, that's like a gall. It's the biggest one I've ever seen on an oak tree. I'd like to get a hold of that and run it through a sawmill, but I don't know how you pick it up.
Yeah, not with your 2 hands, I can tell you that. Okay, so that's a tree that is in the right of way. And therefore, it's we're supposed to say yay or nay on the removal of that tree. Okay?
We're supposed to say?
The Shade Tree Commission. You know, I mean, so based on Bill's opinion and what I've seen, that tree should go. Okay?
From what I could see, it's your best judgment of that. As far as I can see, the tree is not serving any purpose there. In fact, it's causing problems, sidewalk, etc.
Right.
Plus, you would imagine that at some point it become a danger, physical danger to people because it could fall.
Right, Jack, we're all agreed, so let's just vote it's okay to take out the tree.
Let's take it down.
Okay, so,
I'm just explaining why.
I agree with your process. Okay, so,
I'm not just rubbing stamping.
No. and you're 100% right. The other thing is the builder is required to put a new sidewalk right where the old sidewalk is, which is under that tree, as part of his development agreement. So, okay, thank you. I'll process
I
that.
wonder why, because I would think on the development agreement, they would have shown the tree on the plans and shown where the sidewalk was going around. So something doesn't make sense.
Well, be that as it may. Go ahead.
It's history.
The sidewalk was in gross disrepair because of what the tree had done for years.
No, I understand that, but.
Okay, let me finish, please. And the tree is declining badly. In my opinion, the only way to put a viable sidewalk in there, unfortunately, take the tree out. If it was completely healthy, I would say, wait a minute, find another way, we gotta do something else. It's not.
That's not the case.
That is not the case. The tree is in serious decline. There are large dead limbs that they cut out. I made them cut them out, for safety. So, but yeah, you're right. But sometimes things slip through. And I don't see if it's a complying application, it doesn't go before a board or anything else like that. And that's normally where you catch that stuff. And that is not a condemnation of anybody. It is just what it is. But so I can approve that and run it through the process, and I will see if I can't get some substantial trees put back on that
Well,
property.
it turns out though, based on when Tracy Berkowitz was doing this kind of things, we've got construction applications. They want to put it in a swimming pool. They want to put it into this. They want to do that. And all these kind of things. And if their construction involves removals of trees and so on and so forth, then they either pay or replace and so on and so forth. Okay, but the current ordinances, okay, don't call for anything like that in trees in the right of way. Okay, now you can ask people, suggest, but there's no requirement for them to replace those trees for the existing ordinances.
We'll see what the
Now,
DEP
now,
regulations.
let's take a look. Let's take a look at the actual. See, people don't even realize the way we've been doing things in town for years and years and years is in violation of the shade tree commission ordinance. There's 3 ordinances: the one for commercial, the one for homeowners that we're redoing, and then the shade tree commission has its own part of the municipal ordinances. In the shade tree commission ordinance, one thing it says is that, let's say I come up to the mayor's house and I decide that I want to plant a tree in the right of way in front of the mayor's house. Okay? And so we plant one. Okay? The town plants it. And then we bill the mayor for the planting of that tree. That's what it says in the ordinance.
Of course, there's another ordinance that supersedes it that says you can't plant trees in the right of way.
Well, no, this one came first if you want to get to it, so we won't argue about that, okay? But correct, that's a whole separate issue though, we can do that, okay? It also says that if there's a tree in that right of way, that the township, usually we tell the guy, you gotta take that tree out, like this tree. We would tell him, it's a dangerous tree, you've gotta take it out. But what the ordinance actually says is that the township will take the tree out and then bill the guy for taking the tree out. Now, on top of all of that, in the meantime, the Shade Tree Commission, ourselves, we're talking about this, thinking about what's the burden on one homeowner to take out a giant tree, for example, right? Whereas if every property that might be involved, shared it, there's a township trees really, the trees in the right of way. The township owns these, it's really the township's trees in the right of way, okay? And Patty, who just miraculously showed up just in time to say Happy New Year or something.
Happy New Year.
It's Easter by now, Patty, but that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anyway, she rewrote that ordinance, the Shade Tree Commission part of the ordinance, to take out all the stuff that says the Shade Tree Commission has the power, the township do this and do that, okay? That we think the township, Mr. Mayor, should take responsibility for the trees that are technically our trees.
Has a shade tree,
Okay?
preferably has a shade tree commission budget that they have. From the tree,
Well, here's the idea. If we do, right now, when a tree, which is the town owns all the trees, but some people don't have any trees and some people do have trees, right? So the guy who's got a tree, these big trees could cost him $5,000 to take out, okay? And if you take the $5,000 and spread it across the whole town, right? Maybe everyone's going to spend $5 to take that tree out, which is ours. Anyway, as opposed to what it actually says in the ordinance today, the real ordinance, we take it out and put a lien on the guy's property, so to speak, or whatever, add it to his tax bill, whatever that amounts to take that tree out, So
That's how the present ordinance reads right now?
That's what you have to look up shade tree commission to see these things in there.
But we're gonna, the DEP is requiring all towns to be consistent with the MS4 permitting process. They're putting out standards for revising the shade tree ordinances. But the tree ordinances, largely based on what we were trying to do, based on density and number of trees, you had suggested a long time ago. So
That is that ordinance.
So we are,
That's the state ordinance right there.
so we're waiting for the DEP to revise their recommendations, hopefully in another month.
Okay.
And then we're gonna suggest the consolidation of all the ordinances, so there's just one ordinance that covers everything. And
Yeah.
make it simpler for us, make it simpler for people to read.
I don't actually have to go through this, but I think this whole thing I talked about by the street, the right-of-way trees and so on and so forth.
Right.
Should either be part of that overarching ordinance or maybe still the shade tree part. But I think it should still be, I still think that we should take responsibility for the trees because now I saw a video. You gotta get these continuing education units, okay? So there's actually, there's a thing called backyard forestry, which is the New Jersey Forestry Association, something like that, has this 3 little things, and you can go back online and see them. So I saw one called Shade Trees and the Law, Street Trees and the Law, or something like that, And it talked about, let's say a tree falls down, and they had the 3 case studies they had involved 3 trees that fell down and killed someone, And the question is, was there negligence or not? Because we're protected also by this community forestry thing where we get our accreditation as a New Jersey urban community
Your bond.
forestry type of thing.
No, it's more like tort protection.
But negligence is not covering that, So it turns out that one of them involved a person who this was a person on their property, but they had people come and check the trees out every year. They were pruning and they were doing all this sort of stuff. And it was determined by experts that you could not have known that this tree way down at the bottom was rotted out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You could watch the video, Bill.
I've seen the video, I've testified in court cases like
Yeah,
that.
right. Okay.
There are tools that we now have that help us a lot.
Right, but
A lot.
I know, but some of those tools you can't do that. You're not going to do all that on every tree that hasn't
No.
even dropped a limb or look like anything
They're
crazy.
not, but there are a lot of flags that
No.
50 years worth of
No.
field experience
Correct.
tell you that this species of tree at that size, you'll want to look at.
I'm not arguing, just saying. But anyway, the point is, the idea is there's all these kind of things, right? So now, and these are township trees, right? So people aren't as aware as the town will be aware if we actually have a real tree program in town, which we've never had. As a quick example, and I'm not even sure these got surveyed. We'll talk about the tree survey on Alpert and Perrine. There used to be those humongous trees there that came down a long time ago, and we put in a whole bunch of sugar maples on a tree planting project that was reasonably successful. We stopped at every house and asked them if they wanted a tree, that kind of thing, and so on and so forth. We put in somewhere around 118, 20 trees, something like that, on a few, no streets in that area. But we didn't have a program, and I saw another one of these things that showed me, I guess we blew this one. It was when trees get big, you got to be limbing them up when they're young. Okay? Well, we didn't really do that. So now these things, the garbage trucks are getting hit, the school buses are getting hit. It's bad news. So we're going to have to, at some point, we have to get in there and start. We're going to do it now, but it's going to be worse on the trees. It's going to be much more costly to do than if we really had a program to work on trees that the town owns. So that's another sort of a shortfall we've had, and I'm hoping that we can get past that and have a regular program. But that's where we need a regular budget of some kind. Okay. Now the shade tree fund that Dave has responsibility for. The reason that fund got created though was to plant trees, right? That guy's building that high rise.
Yeah, but are you limited to just planting trees out of that fund? Because if you have the shade tree fund, that's your budget.
Right. No, I'm not saying we are, but we do want to plant trees also.
Right, but I mean, you can utilize some of the funds out of that, if I'm not mistaken, and we can ask Ricky Gartz that, if you can use it as a,
We've been using it. That's what, because we
so
haven't.
are you
planted-
using it as a maintenance piece too?
That's what it's mainly been used for in the last 3 or 4 years, because we haven't planted any trees. Now, maybe some of the trees that got planted in a couple of places here and there, might have come out of there. For example, that little thing near the library, that little memorial type thing, when did that actually go in?
April.
April, right?
We had the-
Okay, so those trees, what we spent on those trees will go into my urban and community forestry annual report as trees planted. Cost of trees planted and stuff like that. So I've got to gather all that data now. I was talking to Steve Higgins today about gathering stuff about how much stuff he picked off, leaves and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
I've got to send them the report and the stuff so see what Mark sent me in previous years. But that probably came out of there too. What I'm saying, but overall, the whole thing has to work out, because at some point, that fund, as fewer and more buildings are putting in money into the buildings, are putting money into that fund, right? And people, maybe, I don't know if the permit money is supposed to go into that fund.
No, my knowledge, it does not.
Right, okay?
The fee for a permit is an application fee.
But the
If-
fine money goes into the fund, doesn't it?
I do not know the answer to that.
Right, we have to find that out too.
But let's say they apply for a permit to take this tree down. I go look at it, significant specimen tree. I explain to them the process. If they want to remove a significant specimen tree, they decide not to do any removal. They're going to prune the tree and keep it. That $100 is still owing. So
It's to cover administrative costs.
correct. It is an application fee, not a removal permit
Right.
fee per se.
But when the shade tree fund was set up, there was never any agreement, as far as I know, as to how that money would be used. And I think it would help if we got together with town council and Dave maybe, and decide, here are the rules for using that money, and if it's going to be used for maintenance, maybe only a certain percentage could be set aside. Because maintenance could eat up the entire fund over the years, and we'd never plan anything with it.
Especially with as far behind we are in doing any maintenance.
So we really ought to set up some rules for the fund, which has never been done as far as I know.
I mean, it's my understanding and reading of the fund is that it's used for planting and maintenance of trees, which includes removal if needed. But I also, and as you know, that the decision, the ultimate decision of the fund is the town manager and with consultation of the Environmental Commission and the Shade Tree Commission. So, and we are also obligated every fall to present a budget, a year plan of what we think the year is going to be and what our, and what those costs and what we want planned and what we don't want, what we need to move to give them our budget for that. So I think there's so much opportunities for conversation every year, so long as we all, stick to what the correct schedule of what we should be doing at what time of the year, which is why I sort of got to these things, which I know is on the agenda we'll get to. But so I think there's I think each year is going to be different. There may be years where we plant a lot of trees, and there may be years where we say, you know what, we had a big hurricane. We had a lot of poplars come down. We had a lot of leyland, whatever. I don't have to about trees. I'm the process person, not the tree person. Okay, but I mean, we'll know. Like if we have a Hurricane Sandy, it's going to be a different year than if it's a year where we don't have the same kinds of issues. So as long as we have a process, we're good.
Do you have a budget for maintenance, and is there a specific budget you want? Have you talked about it? Do you know what you do? I mean,
As Patty just said, we need to get our act together.
yeah, because if we knew that, I mean, obviously, we're in 24, we're just starting to get into budget season for us. But if we had some sort of idea as to what you were looking for, what you wanted to do.
So technically, the way it's written, and we are behind the 8 ball, and what my reading is it's supposed to be submitted in November, and that obviously didn't happen. So what?
You mean a maintenance plan?
Oh,
Or-
a budget.
Okay.
A budget, okay. So what we did do was we cleaned up And I talked to Dave about, we talked to Dave about this. And he said, look, clean up what's ongoing for this year.
Right.
So we had like the maintenance truck, which is gonna have a water truck, whatever. We've got the plantings that we approved that can be done at Colonial Terrace. We talked about North Edgemere and the cuttings that went on there. And we're just trying to clean up some of the stuff we had to clean up, and then we're gonna try to have a fresh start with a process.
Let's keep moving on with the agenda. We're never gonna hit a few things. Okay, so there were two items that I sent out pictures of. The other one was 8 Monmouth Road. 8 Monmouth Road is only as soon as you come into town from West Long Branch on Monmouth Road. It's on the corner of Monmouth and
Lake.
Lake. Okay? There are 2 trees that Bill also checked out. I sent those pictures. And one of them is right on the corner on the, when it's up on kind of a high, the slope is quite steep there, as is the one that's on the northern end, which, okay, there's 2 trees, one of which is in bad shape.
Norway maple, the northernmost
That's
tree.
the northern one, okay? That was actually the bigger kind of close-up picture, kind of looks like it, I know it's further away, but I zoomed in on it. And the other one is on the corner. There are a few other trees right next to it that I think are also in the right of way.
They're in the right of way. The biggest problem is the one he wants to take out is in the site triangle. In fact, all the trees that Norm just mentioned are in the site triangle for that intersection. So it is a safety issue. The second tree, the one closest to the intersection, is black walnut, approximately 18 inches in diameter. Not a significant specimen. Isn't going to be any good for lumber, unfortunately. But, I understand why they want to do it. There's 2 problems. One, they're in a right of way. 2, they're on a slope of over 15 degrees. It's pretty steep.
I'm in favor of taking out the maple, but not the walnut.
Well,
That's a safety issue.
It would be a safety issue if it were in the site triangle and it were large shrub,
Correct.
but not the tree.
well, it's his opinion.
No, that's fine. No,
No,
that's
but
fine.
we've got a whole commission here, so what's your opinion on to clean that tree anyway?
It won't do anything for the site triangle issue. There are no low limbs on it. The first main crotch is approximately 25 feet. I did not measure it, but close enough. The other trees are Norway maple saplings that have grown up, and they are all less than 10-inch DBH. I think there are 4 of them in there in the first 25 feet. The black walnut is literally right on the corner.
So holding the soil in place.
Yes, it is, but they would not be permitted to take the stumps out. They
Stumps
could-
will eventually rot down.
Yes, they will, but what I would ask them to do is contingency for allowing this is to put some ground cover shrubs on that slope to help stabilize it. And I believe they will do that for conversations with the property owner.
I'm just curious, so what is your biggest objection? Is it to removing the tree? I just want to understand more why where you're coming from, because I don't understand, so help me.
I I don't think 18 inches is much of a site problem. A 3 foot wide shrub might be, but I'm also concerned about the soil.
And what's your concern about the hazard of it? Why would you recommend taking it?
The only thing I did is I measured, looked at the tree to see if it was going to be significant specimen. I pulled my book out, looked at it, not even close. I think black walnuts are 34. This is way under that. And I knew it was in the side triangle. I know how fast people come up Monmouth Road because I come down it every morning to come in here to work. And then my second concern was the pitch of the hill, knowing full well that we were going to have a problem if they tried to get the stump out. The homeowner indicated he wanted to take the stump out. I said, no, that's a deal breaker. You can't. You can flush it off. And I believe I mentioned at that point in time, I would much prefer some low ground cover shrubs that will not get high enough to be a site issue, be planted all along the bank.
Why did he say he wanted to take the
But
tree out first?
He did not, see, that's another thing. They don't give you a reason.
I don't think that's the reason to take it down.
All I'm doing is presenting what I have to do by ordinance to y'all, and you all make the decision. I don't.
Thank you.
I tend to agree with you, Ken, that stabilizing that bank and trying to keep it there is probably a very significant piece. And the stem of the tree, yes, it's in the site triangle, but it's not a hazard as many of other areas throughout the town.
Is there an alternative to what you two guys are talking about? Another way of dealing with the whole situation?
We're not gonna start planting other trees in that area.
You can't plant.
So, and we're not gonna take the stump out anyway.
Honestly, I think this is a black and white deal. You either keep it or you allow them to remove it with the caveat they have to put plant material that will not exceed, say, 15 inches of mature height on that slope in a designated distance to stabilize the bank for the two that are coming.
Now, the funny part about this is, the thing I'm talking about, if we change the ordinance, okay? The homeowner could request removal of a tree, or whatever we would do with it, right? But he would not be allowed to take it out. He wouldn't be the one taking it out anyway, because all of that stuff would become our responsibility, because it's gonna be our tree.
Well, that's the other reason it was denied, because it was in the municipal right.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying, okay?
Right.
So that would be our choice, and what I'm saying is, so that means that one of the responsibilities that we're gonna have in the future, even more than we already have in reality anyway, is to keep an eye on stuff like that for all the homeowners in town, which is part of the things this survey that we're having done, which I'm gonna talk about in 2 minutes here, is gonna help with that.
Now, an extension of that idea, if it's our tree, then where does that fall with a negligence issue? Or, I mean, if we know it's in the site triangle, we know it's our tree, we don't do anything to maintain it, and somebody brings it to our attention and we say, no, we're not gonna take it down,
Bingo.
bingo.
Right, but there's a way, it depends on whether someone brings to our attention saying we think the tree is dangerous, which this guy hasn't done.
No,
That
it's not the tree.
This guy so far just said he wanted to take it out. He did not give a reason. Now, I think, does the ordinance say there should be a reason for when to take it?
There is no provision on the permit to list why the tree is coming out.
I'm thinking about trees even on their own property.
There is no provision in the ordinance to indicate why the tree is proposed.
You see, as a matter of fact, if the permit and the ordinance talks about trees in the right of way, but people could say they want to take out, you know what I mean? Then that would change the ordinance also. I don't know whether the state ordinance talks about right of way trees independently from the other. But let's try to move along and try and get these to some of the things that we want to cover in the meeting.
Section 9-2.5A3 says purpose of tree removal.
But if you read this permit, there's no place on the permit for it.
Then it was made up incorrectly.
Before I got here, sir.
I'm sorry, but don't tell me that the ordinance doesn't call
Okay.
for it.
You're also supposed to call me and tell me when the work is done. There's a lot going on that in print works fine, it doesn't work worth a damn in the field.
Oh, we'll have to address all those things with the township and get
All you have here is purpose of tree removal. Severely damaged residential, construction, or golf course. That's all that's available.
Okay, so Bill, let's take a look at when you get a chance, look at the ordinance, like that paragraph, and let's come up with, we could certainly change the permit
I've already suggested that.
to,
A narrative as to why they want the trees there. It'd be very simple.
yeah.
New construction, trees are within
No, so
the necessary building envelope.
responsible for creating the permit?
Getting back to 8 Monmouth Road, I think we ought to take out the maple that has issues, but not the walnut. And I will so move.
I will
We'll discuss
second
the motion
All right,
and
so
vote it down. or
let's
vote it
start with that and we'll see how, with the future is in general. Okay, so all in favor of taking out the maple that's in bad shape,
Yeah, the trees should go.
okay, and not taking out the other. Voting, Jim?
But no, I'm gonna say yes. It'll be that somebody's gonna look further into it and decide what the hell should be done with it.
Well, I think
No,
this
I don't
is
think
a
we're gonna
vote
look
right
for-
now.
Unless we think the tree's a hazard, we've decided that we're gonna leave the tree to stabilize in the soil.
I mean, this tree has been here for, I mean, we have no record of like cars crashing right around this tree or anything happening. This tree's been here for many years, I'm assuming. How
I
tall
think the
is it?
tree's high enough, I think the tree is not in the standard
I
site
guess the
triangle.
tree is between 35 and 50 years old.
Okay, so, I mean, it's part of our community. It's been here forever. It doesn't,
I
it's
don't
not
think-
dying, it's not in
I
bad
didn't take a
health.
good look at the
I
site
don't wanna
triangle
take it down.
effects, but I'm not sure it's higher off the ground than the usual tree that is on the corner.
Based on what I've heard here today, I vote to go along with that.
Nancy, Dan?
I think
Is
it's,
there something going on we don't know
All
about?
right, so let's go to the next thing.
Haven't had a chance to change it.
he's just dressing for shit.
Okay, tree ordinances. We have the state, so we've got a copy here. Bill has been kind enough to give us a copy of the proposed state ordinance. Okay?
This is the proposed one.
But, well, but it's more than proposed. I think this one is close to being,
This is the one that is due to be adopted in May of this year.
Okay.
But in
Rick
conversations,
Blash said it's gonna be changed, so.
yeah, I was about to say, in conversations with Mr. Blash and some other people that should be in the know, they feel there will be at least one revision to this thing, if not two. They seem to think a reasonable time might be September of this year, rather than May, because of the timeline they need to discuss all of this and then get it out. Originally, what I originally heard about this thing 2 years ago, and Ed may know when this started better than I, but they were thinking the original date for implementation was going to be 1 January 25. So everybody would have a year to work on this thing and then get it. But as far as the township is concerned, you have a tree ordinance in place. And what I believe the prudent thing to do is, and I asked Mr. Blash to look into this for me, is send a copy of our ordinance as it is constituted right now to the folks that are doing this, so they can look at it and go, oh yeah, you're good. I think what they're starting to realize, and this is me alone, to have this ordinance for the 521 municipalities that are in the state, well, Elizabeth is going to have a whole lot different urban forest than.
Bill, let me just cut you short, because we're not gonna get, it's.
Okay, well, I was trying to answer a question.
We got
That's
10
fine.
minutes left of the whole thing, but first, just to note in this thing, these notes that are mixed in with this ordinance, this municipalities that are accredited with urban community forestry, which we are, may continue to follow their town's established forestry program requirements, provided their accredited program addresses tree removal and replacement. Then you got some more stuff here. So right, they're not gonna come after us in the front of anything anyway, given that we've got our act, we've got our act.
Well, you're already in the process. But I'd like everybody to do is take it home, make some notes on it, highlight what you think's good, highlight in a different color what you think is terrible.
Okay.
And we'll-
Do we know if this is a minimum that you have, the municipalities have to at least meet this
I
and allowed to
believe
be stricter but not laxer? how
that
it's
is
gonna work?
my understanding as of
Okay.
today. So I think that's, given the
Okay,
the
good.
normal course of things, that's pretty much, you can't be less restrictive than those
The only
levels.
thing that I see that we have to review is what the replacement trees are, because the fines can be set by the municipalities according to this, the application fee is set by the municipalities, and you can plant trees somewhere else, which is a
Right,
lovely.
let's move on to
So,
the stewardship grant. Okay, the tree
Okay.
survey that was being done and so on and so forth. They completed the survey.
I saw the Navy guys walking around my neighborhood.
Yeah, we have many more trees than we thought.
Do we have any interim report yet?
Well, we don't have quite an interim report, but we have something that's sort of like an interim report, okay, which I'll pass around. Okay, so you can see the parts of town that got looked at. And of course, when tree keeper, you'll be able to zoom in and get to every street and see every tree and identify every tree and all that kind of stuff. Okay? But one of the things, the first thing that happened was they started talking. I was not paying enough attention to what it said. It talked about sites instead of trees in the beginning of the proposal. So suddenly they did they had 313 vacant sites. You know, that basically took them, poof, there's no trees here, kind of thing, okay? But that was included in the total that we said we wanted 3,000 trees, right? So talking to them, we sort of traded off. We were gonna get kind of a planting plan, which I'm not sure what that was gonna do for us anyway. You know, it was filling space with money that we could get for the grant, okay? And so they collected a total of 3,155 sites, 2,842 trees, and 313 vacant sites, okay?
The yellow sites are where they looked.
Now those yellow things are just, if you zoom in, those are the individual trees, but each tree would probably zoom out to 50 trees, 30
Because
trees.
there's nothing on the west side of 35 with the yellow dot.
Right.
Does that mean they didn't even go there?
Correct. We started counting, we did,
Not yet.
we prioritized, no, we prioritized to begin with, okay? I think we need to get some more money together and complete the survey, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, but we also did this to the limit of, we didn't have to go up and get bids from, full bids by going, professional services. So instead of getting, say, a grant for 50,000, we got a grant for 44,000.
Sorry,
We need to do that.
you wanna make some copies of that?
Okay, we do.
Wait, we'll figure it
There's
out.
no question that we have to cover up the
And
rest
so
of the
we'll call
place.
this phase one.
But one of the things was we needed to have, if we wanted to put trees with grant money that we might be able to get, that from what the EP told me, those sites had to be surveyed, okay?
Right.
And Joe Player Park was huge, okay? And then the various, all the other parks, like
Yeah.
Dave DeRouche Park and so on and so forth. And then the school properties, several of which didn't have that much stuff, okay? So there are things that didn't get covered, really, you know? But I think this is a good start, and we now have an idea of what we can do, and we can go out and get something else, and it doesn't mean we can't get even more of a grant to continue the survey.
We're gonna have access to look at.
Yeah, well, here's what's happened, here's what's happened. They now have to go, they've got a quality control operation that goes on, okay? To look at stuff, and they've got, wow. This is early in the year for you
We
to show up?
communicated, twice in 1 week.
Goodness gracious.
What is it, so cold to chase you all the way back there?
He's still my beating
I knew
heart.
I'd get harassed the minute I walked in.
You've earned it, you've earned the right.
You throw something at you, just this
Yes.
outside. Since you already have a working relationship with the folks from Davie, consider some of that trust fund money, see if that could be used and just get them back here as quickly as you can and try to finish this thing. I don't know whether that's legal or whether or not you could, help me out here, amend the,
Do we know how much it would cost?
Well, depends how many, we need to get our own little estimate again on trees, again. But,
That's worth the consideration.
yeah.
I mean, you have a fair amount of money sitting there right now.
I'll tell you one thing the guy told me, this is what the guy told me when I went out and talked to him in the street, right? They walk in the streets, they park somewhere and they walk over the streets, right?
Mhm.
If he had a golf cart, he could have said he could have done twice as many trees in the same amount of time.
Well, guess what? That's infrastructure in a company.
Hey, just saying.
No, I agree, 100%, but
Well,
I don't know how the municipality would feel about somebody running around a municipal golf cart on a road. That would be something you have to run by the legals, or it would require somebody to drive it, and that's not out of the realm of possibility either.
right, I'm just saying, but the guy did mention that to me. Now, of course, that'll depend on what streets he was on talking about, something like
Yeah.
Joe Player Park,
We should get an estimate from them
That
over
was-
to the rest of the streets, because they think you can do all the streets.
He's
We should
just
estimate
walking
the rest
there,
of the streets.
so it varies. And that was, Joe Player Park had
'Cause I'm
maybe a third of our trees.
looking at the community forestry planning thing we sent out today, and we have to do it in the future, and it includes overburdened communities, and we don't have any data on those communities, and we need to actually get the survey to look in those areas as well, so we have some data there. So that's, we should get an estimate from Davies on what it would be to finish all the streets. To finish the streets.
I mean, they should be able to give us an estimate.
But I'll talk to them about that. Right now, they're in North Jersey for a few, and then next week they're gonna be in California. It's just,
I just, call that, I'll just say, well, whatever.
Yeah,
Give us
okay.
an idea. Then we'll know what we're talking about.
but I just wanted to keep
We want
things,
it now.
just keep things moving, okay?
Yeah.
Then we have the Shade Tree Commission's tree planning guide, which is Patty's thing about, what are we gonna wanna do? Now, one of the things
Sorry
that
for the
goes
lack of
into,
paper clips, guys.
one of the things that goes into the, what do you call it? The community forestry management plan, okay? It's supposed to include an annual budget.
Well, let's face it, I think the shade tree and the environmental is, so then we'll give them a little money so they go away.
Is there more than one page of this, Patty?
Yeah.
What?
I think I gave Jack some of mine.
Yeah, 2 pages.
2 pages. So basically, forgive the pun, but this is trying to look at the forest through the trees, guys. Okay, stepping back, and I didn't even get a chuckle. Just trying to step back and look at how are we going to go about deciding how we make decisions as a shade tree commission, so that next November, when we go to, the township, we'll have had a whole process of how we've made the decision of where we want trees to go, and it includes community engagement as well. So this is just a draft for you all to look at, but the first step in this is, so as I said, the goal is to have all of our ducks in a row and to know what we want to do so we can submit, in November when we need to for our budget and plan for the coming year. So
So this is the first draft of that.
this is the first draft of a plan, of just a plan of how we behave in the community.
An outline.
There's nothing about trees or where to put trees or anything. This is just a process, right? This is how we function.
You need this to do that.
Yes.
Exactly. So, and we want to have increased community engagement. And as we saw with places like Colonial Terrace, they were really excited to get engaged in the planting of trees in their community. And we could perhaps get the community more engaged in the planting of trees and where they want to see trees, but also maybe help them value trees more as a community as well. And maybe we can even slow trees being taken down. Let me be a dreamer. So the first thing is to assemble a good planning group. That's the first part of this, is to get the people that we developed a separate committee that's going to be engaged in figuring out where people want to see trees. We let the media know we're working on this. We give it enough build-up. And so these are some of the folks that we thought would be, I thought would be important. I did run this by Dave Brown as well and sort of check it with him, and he goes, yeah, definitely. He wanted to make sure that there was all the appropriate people. So, is there anybody missing that should be on a committee like this that you'll see? It includes the community, council, staff, business, planning board member, shade tree commission members, not enough to make a quorum, environmental commission member.
Once you get to citizen volunteers, you pretty much cover it.
Yeah. I think we've got all the way through it.
The only thing that popped out with me was the
Okay, we've only got about a minute.
Well, you know what? Then I'll just do the headlines, and then I would ask you to take this home and look at it and come back next meeting with your ideas, because it'll be February already, and we're
Behind the
gonna,
eight ball.
Right, so let me just point out a couple of quick things.
Sure.
One, the trees, by the way, they were planted, those pawpaw trees were planted at the intermediate school. And we bought the CEUs. Now I was pushing the CEUs, I always do it at the end of every year, but we only need to get 8 CEUs from 2 different people during the course of the year. And this thing, Backyard Forestry, it's called, this Jersey Forestry Association, whatever it is. They're very good.
UMass and Amherst runs a bunch.
Right, that's right. I think that those might be some of theirs too, I think, whatever it is. Right, but both of those. So I'm trying to send out the things when I see what they are, but try and just look at one. You spend an hour at lunchtime one day and you know, we get it through that and we're done for the year.
Of the CEU stuff, that's all I heard.
Yeah, I just wanted to give me a sales pitch to get that over with. This year, we were close, I'm not sure whether how close we would have been, except that, Diane Sermon took a course that was good for 24 CEUs.
And that doesn't carry over for the next
No,
3 years.
unfortunately.
So you need volunteers for that.
So, well, you just have to look at a couple of hours, you know. If everyone on the Shade Tree Commission watched 2 of them a year, we got 4, and it was 1 credit each, that'd be 10.
So they don't have to be, they can be spread out among a number of people, it's just the credits that are cumulative.
It took,
Okay,
everyone could watch the same one, and we'd get, if 8 people could watch the same one, we'd get 8 credits. We'd get, even if you would watch the same one, you'd get credits. Or you can watch it with your husband, and he'd get a credit. You don't have to be on the commission or anything, just have to be someone who lives in the township of Ocean.
okay, I just have one thing to say about this before we move on. You said it was a minute, and you can give me a minute. But the
I can
draft,
only give you -2 minutes, but
Yeah.
-3.
okay. When you're reading this, think about the question of who you think are the appropriate, and what is the appropriate group for each section of this. For instance, the planning group may want to do the actual where the tree should go. You might want just the Shade Tree Commission to do a vision statement and goals. Or you might think the planning group should be doing this. So think about that, because those were questions I had, and it's up to this body to determine how you want to move forward. So think about who, and always trying to keep it as nimble as possible so that it moves forward. Thank you.
Yeah.
Was this sent out to us? Was this
I did
emailed?
email this a couple months ago. I emailed it. I can email it again.
Would you please?
Patty, can you email that to me so I have a copy of it?
You want a hard copy as well?
Sure.
Okay, anybody want to go back in time and join the meeting on time?
I move.
I volunteer for number 7.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, anyone want to adjourn the Shade Tree Commission so Ed can, that's Dapper Dan can take over?
I defer up to Dr. Dan.